Turn you guys on.
Well, hi everybody. This is a Hangout with Hilkey this month. We're down here at United Rotorcraft, and behind us is the Firehawk that the state has purchased. As you can see, it's an estate of Bill. The United Rotorcraft has taken a Sikorsky Blackhawk of House Bill 21-113. It was passed last year in 2021. The governor signed the bill in March of 2021, and it appropriated within the Division of Fire Prevention and Control. So, joined here today with Mike Morgan, the Division Director for DFPC, and later we're going to be joined by Don Leto from United Rotorcraft, who's going to also kind of do a little bit of a tour. But first of all, I guess I just want to say, Mike, this is an exciting time for the division and for the state, for the executive branch. This is sort of a utilitarian aircraft added to the fleet. It kind of has this ability to do so many different things in so many different environments, which is sort of why we got it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it obviously is state of the art as it relates to firefighting technologies and capacity and capability. We talk a lot about early detection and aggressive initial attack, and this is kind of the cream of the crop, if you will, of aerial assets to really do that with a lot of accuracy. But it also lends itself to so many other functions. We can carry up to 12 people. So, whether that be to transport people on fires, but also from a whole public safety perspective. I think a lot of folks in our division, we spend a lot of time out doing search and rescue missions. All those other functions that we can do to help support the Department of Public Safety mission better with an asset like this versus something that is specifically suited for firefighting alone. So it does have so much more capability and capacity than just another firefighting asset.
Right. And what you're seeing behind us, it sort of looks like a patchwork of different colors. It is a new helicopter, but going through the Firehawk process, they have a lot to do with it. They have to change a lot of the avionics and the work that's inside of it. And you'll hear more about that from Don. But don't be fooled. It's not used. It's not an older one. It is a brand new aircraft. And one of the beauties about this that I'm most excited about is that it's an aircraft with a tank in the belly and a snorkel and the ability to pull water out of a river or water source, lake, whatever, and be able to fly unrestricted without having to close roads. One of the things that we do with our contract helicopters that use a belly bucket that's on a cable below the aircraft is that in order to fly across the road, we have to close the road, which in rapid deployment and rapid action, that becomes a problem, and it becomes prohibitive in the use of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is exciting, particularly for the use in wildland-urban interface. The ability to get it out there quickly, not have to close roads, and get water on the fire is really what we want, right?
Absolutely, and that's where this is such a unique aircraft and asset for us here in Colorado. Again, talking about aggressive initial attack, and what does that really mean? And with the traditional Bambi bucket type of helicopter, which of course are the ones with the buckets on the cable, that what we would normally do if we deploy a helicopter to that is the helicopter would leave the airport wherever it's located. It would go to the location close to the fire. They would attach the bucket to the bottom of the helicopter, identify the water supply, close the roadways between the incident and the water supply, and begin flying back and forth, missions back and forth with scoops, where this, and Don will be able to show this to everybody later, but this one has a tank on it capable of 1,000 gallons of water. It has a snorkel that retracts and extends and can go to a source and fill in about 45 seconds. And so what that means tactically for us is that this aircraft has got water on it, it's ready to go. You get called to an initial attack, it goes directly to the fire, dumps a load of water on it, identifies a water supply close to there, and now all of a sudden the amount of water you can put on in a 1 hour rotation with this tank, without closing roadways and inconvenience everybody, compared to, we're very impressed with the work that the large air tanker does, and the more traditional of what we see. And they're very effective under certain conditions, but when you start looking at capability of quick turnaround with something like this, it'll be another game changer for us. So.
One of the things that's been, impressive and a source of pride, I think, for the department is your innovation, Mike, and the department's or your division's innovation with regards to thinking ahead, particularly in fire aviation. The state of Colorado was one of the first states, if not the first state, to get the multi-mission aircraft, and which is the sensor aircraft that helps detect fires, helps provide overhead command, helps map fires, and now we see other states following suit. We see the federal government following suit. This is not the first Firehawk by any means. The state of California has got several of these, more than a dozen, that are deployed both for the state and for certain counties in California. But this innovation for Colorado is something that I think that we all should be proud of. I wanted to go back for just a second, for the people that are sheriffs have there's a place in the middle where sheriffs have some responsibility for fire when it exceeds a local fire district before it gets to a state fire. And back in the day, when we had a fire, it had to get big and it had to burn over a couple ridges before the state ever showed up. And when the state showed up, it was with a checkbook. That was pretty much about it. Nowadays, what you have built in your team is this new model that having the ability to have some funds to attack a fire early and often before it becomes a state fire, even with assets like this, are helping us to keep fires from getting bigger. Is that accurate?
Absolutely, and I think I'm very proud to be a part of this division and this department as a whole. It's an honor, and I mentioned that yesterday at the Executive Director Awards. Man, who'd ever thought, right, to have the opportunity to be around this group of people that are so capable and so intelligent and so passionate about what they do. And I have to voice that about the folks in our division, and that we've got some super smart people, much smarter than I am, that are creating ways to be more effective at what we do and rethinking the way we've done things, the traditional way, as you mentioned. And of course, I was in Garfield County, and I remember the frustrations of going, it's great that you're going to show up with a checkbook, in a couple of 3 weeks when I have to start paying bills, but I want this bad day to stop right now. And what are you doing for me to help me stop this right now? And I think as we've looked at duration versus impact, going, if we wait until the fire goes over the hill and we're buying lunches for the next 3 months, it's going to cost a lot of money. Where if we spend some money early on with investment in enhanced state assistance and getting that help to that fire chief or that sheriff right away and try to stop the fire from going over the hill and not buying lunches for 3 months, we're much better off both in loss of property, suppression costs, et cetera, safety and risk to the firefighters, to the public. It's just a whole different way of doing business for us, and it's proven to be super effective.
Well, one of the things also that strikes me as compelling for Colorado and something to be proud of is that we're starting to take back our own fate. I mean, we have been at the mercy of a federal resource system when it comes to fire aviation, and they have saved our bacon many times. I don't want to pretend that they haven't, but we do have to compete with other states. And one of the things that you have done successfully, I might add, is really build up a Colorado aviation fleet. Both of owned aircraft and contract aircraft that really gives Colorado control of that resource for itself when needed. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, and I think maybe, I guess we all have these aha moments when you're like, we really need to change the way we do business. And for me, one of those was the Junkins fire, and that was in the fall of 2016, if I remember right, when it was a late season fire, and I had a wind event and became a big fire, and we started calling for federal assets to come help fight this fire for us. And all of those resources were in Southern California. And so, and again, like you say, it's not a shot at our federal partners. We work with them very closely and have great relationships and very collaborative in what we do. But they look at resources from a 19-state perspective on where they think the resources need to be and be positioned. Well, at that point in time, it's October in Colorado, and they didn't think it needed to be in Colorado. So I was at the mercy of some folks in Southern California deciding whether we would get this asset that we needed. And so we have, again, leaned into that very hard, as you know, and with your support, the governor's support, to develop a fleet that's under our operational control, so that and we go help our other states, our federal partners, on their lands in Colorado and also outside of Colorado. But we make the decisions when that happens. We do that based upon our own preparedness level. We've established our own preparedness level for the different parts of the state, so we have a science to the decision making we do when we allow assets to go or where we position assets. And again, it's proven to be super effective. We have a lot to learn, and we're going to continue to learn, and we're going to continue to lean into it and be better at what we do.
You know, this year's been interesting. I mean, we came off of 2020 and 2021 were really tough fire years, and that's what inspired the purchase of this aircraft that's sitting behind us. But this year, it feels a little less, right? And it has been a little less. However, I get those monthly statistics and weekly statistics from our multi-mission aircraft, and I see, you know, within the last 7 days, every week, there's always a certain amount of fires that are detected, and then we pass that on to a jurisdiction. This is, you know, we talk about this in other aspects of public safety. It's really difficult to be able to measure what you prevent. This is one area where we get to measure what we prevent, I think. Talk a little bit about, you know, that work that the MMA, which is another great innovation by DFPC, is doing to prevent fires from getting big.
And so we talked about early detection and aggressive initial attack, and what does that mean? And this is, once we find a fire, to keep it small, keep it from getting big, these are the assets that do that. But I think to your points earlier about where Colorado is at leaning into this early detection concept is that, thank you, Tricia, we started the multi-mission aircraft program. That was under Director Cook. I can't take credit for that. And I think most people, including me, when Paul was doing that, I was looking at him like, what are you doing? You know, I don't get it. And I know there's a lot of people that were feeling that. And then all of a sudden, we start seeing what that aircraft is capable of finding fires before they get big. And last year, I haven't seen all the numbers for this year, but last year we found 207 fires with that airplane that nobody knew about. So you find 207 fires, you send engines, you give latitude, longitude, you send the local jurisdiction, the authority having jurisdiction with aviation assets or whatever to support, to keep it from getting big. It never gets on the news, it doesn't get a name, and that's success to us. Being out of the media is success for us. You know, not being on the headlines is when we know we're being effective. And to your point of this year, you know, I've had a lot of people, they'll come up to me and go, man, you guys have had a really quiet year. And it's like, no, we really haven't. Our strategies are working. I think, you know, the large air tanker, I believe, I didn't look at the numbers this morning, but we put about 300,000 gallons of retardant through that aircraft on fires this year. I know the multi-mission aircraft had one day alone that they found 25 fires this year, 25 fires in one day. That, you know, and it's for those of you I'm sure out there that know, and Stan and I know well, that, you know, when you start talking about the numbers of that, I mean, we can burn $1 million a day on a fire very easily. No pun intended, right? But if we can catch those fires small and spend, you know, Elephant Butte, I think, is a classic example of one where we hit it really hard and we spent a couple $100,000 in the first afternoon. But there was 1,200 homes in Evergreen, Colorado threatened. And yeah, it cost a couple $100,000 to do it that way. But think about the costs had we not done it that way.
Right. Yeah, it's an amazing tool. It's an amazing program, and certainly fire aviation isn't the only thing that you do. You've got a lot of ground resources and other functions that are statutory responsibilities for the division, and all of your people are just amazing and do a lot of great work. One of the things about this aircraft that we know is that it has the potential to be used for things other than fire. What do you anticipate you might get requests for with this aircraft?
I think that's a great question. I've asked myself that a lot, and not to use the old pun, but I think it's going to be one of those build it and they will come things, is that, and I think about it, and I know your experience in local government, you know this as well as I do, is that when I was a firefighter, the federal government, they couldn't do it because it's a search and rescue, they don't do that. We call National Guard, and National Guard would be, well, if there's truly a search and a rescue, we can help you, but if it's a recovery or this, then we can't help you. And so it was really challenging to find these resources to help you through the things you needed to do. This particular aircraft, now that the state has assets to help support public safety agencies, really with that mission of saving lives and protecting property, I think we're going to get I think we're going to have to manage what priorities are, and I think we're the instant stabilization, those types of things. And I know Don will talk about that, but right above my head, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but the hoist capable helicopter, but it has the capability where we could put some paramedics on it with some stuff and go in and do what we need to do, or evacuate firefighters if there's in harm's way. So it's pretty unlimited, and I know Chief Packard is going to be going, hey, and then I'm going to go, hey, Stan, should I help Matt out? Of course, we're there for you, Matt.
Yeah, CSB has a helicopter envy. I know that, right? Yeah. And but and they do have a great public safety mission, and hopefully we can get there with them as well someday. Here in a minute, I'm going to turn it over to Patricia and Don Leto from United Rotorcraft to talk more about what's going on with this build and what it's going to look like when it's finished. Maybe we'll get to see some imagery. That I know we're surrounded in here by images of what the paint scheme might look like, and Patricia will be able to show people that. But really, we're excited about getting this in service. It is unique. We have contract helicopters right now, the capacity and the capabilities of which are great, and they've served us well. But this can take us beyond that a little bit. It flies in more wind, right? Carries more water, right? And it'll be a great thing. Do we wish we had more?
Absolutely. We wish we had more.
Yeah. We shamelessly say that, but it's an expensive asset, and it's we get it that our state has to make really challenging decisions when it comes to the funds that it spends on things, but. I think eventually Colorado's going to see a day where maybe we have one of these stationed in all four corners of the state, and have that response capability better. But when you add this to our contractor, our aviation, it's just going to be a really great source for Colorado, right?
Absolutely. And of course, as you mentioned, it was Bill 206 got us some additional resources until this is completed. And, our goal is, this will be a year-round asset for us. Based upon our strategic planning and things, we would like to have a Type 1 helicopter in each quadrant. It's going to take a while to build that capacity, but with the contracts and different things, we're kind of able to fulfill that mission, not on a year-round basis, but in the capabilities we're building within the division and the department, and I think to your leadership and that mission of safer together is that whatever Director Klein or Director Tony, whatever we can do to help support that public safety mission, and this is going to be a tremendous tool for all of us to be able to do that.
For sure. Patricia, we'd like to know, she's with United Rotorcraft, and we'll let you introduce yourself and tell us what you do here at United Rotorcraft.
Hi everyone, so my name is Don Leto, as you stated. I am installations and maintenance that we currently do here. As you see behind me, we have the impressive Colorado Firehawk. Some cool things that were spoken about earlier is the reason why the Firehawk is so desirable right now in our day and age is its multi-mission capabilities. Right? So you've heard search and rescue, you've heard humanitarian disaster relief assistance, you've heard medevac. Obviously, aerial firefighting is what we're very interested here at United Rotorcraft. It's our trademark. It's what we're known for. But there's so many things that this helicopter can do, and it's why it makes it a very impressive aircraft in firefighting. As spoken earlier, it has a 1,000-gallon water tank that we mount to the bottom. We do all of the structural fittings for that. We raise the aircraft up approximately 22 inches. That allows us to fit that tank underneath. Something interesting about Colorado is that you will be receiving the first composite tank made by Dart Aerospace that we will have installed. It's a lighter weight. honestly a very impressive design by that company, and we're very excited to install it here at United Rotorcraft. The retractable snorkel that was spoke about earlier. Oh, so the retractable snorkel is currently located right here. Extends down approximately 14-15 feet, and you can suck up water pretty much anywhere. Lakes, swimming pools. You can have outside sources. We also have 2 fill ports on each side of the tank right here, so that you can fill from trucks or fire hydrants as well. Again, 1,000 gallons, and it will suck it up in less than 60 seconds. The rescue hoist that you see above me holds 600 pounds. Obviously, that's very life-saving in search and rescue missions. Depending on where you're at, you can airlift patients out of dangerous situations. You can rescue hikers, people lost in various locations. Your cargo hook itself, if you decide to remove the tank, Colorado will have this option, holds a max load of 9,000 pounds straight from the factory. So that is very great for lifting cargo. I've heard of rescuing livestock as well. So that's another multifaceted mission that this aircraft can do. Here at United Rotorcraft, we're currently installing approximately 33 avionics systems at the moment. That depends on customer needs and requirements. Everybody's a little bit different. No Firehawk that we have sent out has been exactly the same for every state and organization. Mechanically, structurally, we double that. Again, with the high landing gear, the tank fittings, all of that comes to a decent amount of work. So from that aspect, it is a very large installation, but it's a very cool one that we are extremely proud of here at United Rotorcraft.
Can you walk us around the helicopter and show us the different components?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So here at United Rotorcraft, again, to get the tank underneath the aircraft, we install this torque box. We have to raise the struts up so that it comes up that 22 inches. So that's all us. We install steps just for easy access of pilots, and then as well as crew, they have the steps on the water tank as well. Avionics wise, you see that it's not fully together yet, so we rip everything apart from factory, even though it is brand new, and we have to install our own avionics systems for that as well. That includes different audio systems that make it better for firefighting and customer needs. We do TDFM systems. We do.
What's a TDFN system?
It's a different form of radio communication. So again, it's just communication for our customers. We also, it's not installed currently, but we install macro blue for the water tank, and it's 2 displays that will mount right to the side of the instrument panel. They'll be here. They can stow and fold out for pilot visibility. And what that does is it allows the pilot to see how much water is in your tank, how much foam is in your tank. It allows you to see if your doors are open, if your snorkel is not fully retracted, just for the usability of in-flight operations, right? We also have the capability of doing different water spreads, which make it very, very effective in firefighting efforts. You can do quarter drops, you can do half drops, you can do 3/4 drops, you can do full drops, E-dumps in the event of emergency situations, even spreads. So that is another very impressive thing that we install here at United Rotorcraft that makes these very effective firefighting aircraft.
Well, let's just take a walk around and look at it, and then if you see anything else that you want to point out.
Again, this will be fully painted. This is straight off the factory, brand new, primered and beautiful, as you can tell. Not fully together yet. We've done most of the structural stuff first. We design all of our own installations in-house, which is very good for us as a company, right? We engineer all of our own designs, and then we install those designs.
And here's a better view of that tank, right? Underneath.
All of this is pretty standard OEM. We don't make too many modifications back here, although we will install, such as the flight cell antenna that you see below. We do install all the antennas for our avionics systems that currently go on the aircraft. But this is pretty standard for what they look like out of the factory. It's just taller
And why is it taller?
to put the tank on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
We got some members of our team here. And Joel Maleka, one of our wonderful legislative liaisons who helped us get the funding for this. Great. And
So I wanted to just say a couple of words. You just got to hear from Dawn. Dawn is also a United States Navy veteran, served her country, also worked on these kinds of platforms and other helicopter platforms, subject matter expert, and we're glad to have you, Dawn. Thank you for helping us today. Mike and I wanted to stand in front of this image. If you get the opportunity to see the image in the background, that's sort of what our paint scheme is starting out to look like. It might have a few tweaks here and there, but gives you an idea what it'll look like. And also, I don't think it's probably hard to really understand the size of this thing until you stand next to it. And I think it's, 70 feet long or something like that almost, but it is a big aircraft, and it particularly looks that way when it's indoors, of course, but we're really happy about the fact that we get to see this being built. We know that we'll get to use it in our upcoming fire season beginning next year early, hopefully, and we'll get to see it after it gets painted. They'll finish their build, and then it gets shipped to be painted, and it'll look like what you're seeing now on that image there, and certainly something to be proud about for the state of Colorado. Not only is it just a great asset for public safety, but really it's about Colorado taking its own fate back and really taking wildland fire seriously. Mike, any final thoughts from you?
I just think for the group to, it is such a unique piece of equipment, right? I mean, as Don kind of alluded to, it's built by Sikorsky. It's a Black Hawk helicopter. It's shipped from Poland to Decatur, Texas, and then assembled in Decatur, Texas, and brought here to Colorado. And United Rotorcraft does their magic on it, which, as you can see, is very extensive by basically disassembling so much of it and taking the avionics and all those things out of it, rebuilding the landing gear and everything to make it so unique for its capability and capacity, and uniquely fit for Colorado, right? I mean, the capability of this type of an aircraft at our elevation and our temperatures is just head and shoulders above the others, and then you see it coming together. I think, as they get it all built, as you said, we'll go back to Decatur, Texas, and we'll get the paint scheme that you can see up here on the wall. And then we've got our staff over here, that our chief pilot and our helicopter specialist that'll go to work when it comes here, training and getting everybody ready.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to mention, these assets are great, but they're really nothing without your people, right? And I know that you're in the process of hiring, the staff and the crew, and we're excited about that as well. Welcome aboard, everybody. We're glad that you're choosing to work for DFPC and for the state of Colorado. So.
Hire the heart and train the hands.
There you go. That's right.
You get good people, and they make us look good.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Patricia, Don, thank you. Thanks to United Rotorcraft for allowing us to do this event here today. You've been such a gracious host for us, and we really appreciate your time and arranging this for us, and we're really glad to be able to share this with our entire department about what we're doing. It's just one other thing that we get to do to make Colorado safer. Thank you, Patricia.
Thanks, Patricia.